Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend, getting prepped for Thanksgiving and having a short week, so that's always a good thing. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So 5-minute moneymaker, Elon Musk's 5 or 6 things that he said. Seek criticism, and do we recommend that when it comes to 5Q? Yeah, that's why we have tape reviews. Challenge your existing beliefs, narrow your focus, create a backup plan, practice for failure, have a big impact. Do we do all of these things with 5Q? So we're right on track with what what Elon Musk says that basically the 6 things that he follows to be successful. The 5Q breakdown is this gentleman did an awesome job in power of attorney and then didn't finish it off with having them again decide that their power of attorney was wrong. So there's no sense telling somebody how or having somebody understand what the importance of power of attorney if they don't understand that theirs is not working. So make sure the scripts are fantastic, but if you leave the last 10% off, guess what? It's the last 10% is 90% of the power. So make sure you follow through on all those scripts. Don't end too soon. So we've been talking the last month about making your own luck with free marketing, and luck's come down to 2 things: positive attitude and connections. Well, this week I would talking about lead clubs. So I've got some guys, and for some reason they're all on the East Coast, that have wonderful luck with lead clubs. And what those are is you form a group where you have one property casualty person, one attorney, one accountant, one realtor, one maybe pharmacist, one ophthalmologist, one assisted care living executive, and you basically put together a group of professionals. And then what you'll do, and there's actually an entity that does this, leadclub.com or something like that, but I would not recommend them simply because I reached out to them 5 times, and they are either the most disorganized or the most, it's a funny thing, they do not have clubs in Minnesota. They don't have clubs in a couple other places that I even know of. They've been doing this for years, but reaching out 5 times and they don't get back to you, I can't recommend them. I think they have a really good process, but I can't recommend them because they're lousy at following up. So if you want to try them, they're terrific. You just Google Lead Club and they're there. But wow, I've never had somebody try to not get your business so hard as compared to them. So, but you can actually do your own. So you put together a lead club, put together these people, and then you meet. They recommend weekly. I would say once a month is enough, and then each time you allow somebody to present what they do and why they're different, the kind of clients they're looking for. So you just kind of allow one person to give their little pitch, and you just go round and round and round and round. I had a couple of people here on the call say, yeah, that they're using them. It worked really well. So, and guess how much that costs, guys? None. Does it take some work? Yes. And believe me, you're going to have to wrangle. You're going to have to wrangle the people and probably make sure that everything's running properly and arrange the meetings and make sure everybody's there and do the reminders and because if you want somebody else to do that, then it won't happen. It'll fall apart. But this is a fantastic way for you to build your business. Also, think about this. What's the other benefit of having these lead clubs? See if anybody can get it. What's the other benefit of having these lead clubs? Who else are you going to get as a client? Not hard, guys. Who else are you going to get as a client with the lead clubs? Them. Yeah, them. So, I mean, would you like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 professionals as clients? Absolutely. So that's the other advantage of doing the lead clubs. But today we're going to talk about, there was an entity that did interviewed 500 sales professionals, sales trainers, top of the line. I mean, guys that make $1 million or more in the selling field. And they asked them, what would your tips be? What would you tell people to that want to be successful salespeople? What are the tips that would you give them? So we're going to walk through that today. So some of the tips that they gave. So they said, stop and ask first. What do you think they mean by stop and ask first? Don't present. Find out what their problems are first. Now, we kind of differ than that. Why do we differ than that? They say ask questions, find out what their problems are first. Why do we not? Let's see if anybody can get this. Why do we not ask them what their problems are? With 5Q, why don't we ask them what their problems are? Ah, Dave got it. Let's see if anybody else gets it. Raymond, very good, Raymond. I'm impressed. Andre, yeah, you're all. Andre's got it. So here's the thing: if there's a gentleman walking through the airport and he has cancer, and he sees on the USA Today, on the USA Today, cancer cured, will he pick up that newspaper? He has cancer, walks through the airport, sees a newspaper, and he says cancer cured. Will he pick up the newspaper? Well, why? We're getting a lot of yes. Ah, Dave gets it. Dave, you're my star student. You always are. So Dave says has probably heard me do this before. He doesn't. Did I say he knew he had cancer? Just because he has cancer, does he know he has it? So he probably wouldn't even bother picking up the paper because he doesn't know he has cancer. And that's what that applies to our clients. Why do I say that applies to our clients? When the clients we're after, they have money, they're driving the cars they want, going out to eat what they want, they go on vacation when they want. They have no problems, but they think they have no problems, but they do have problems. What's their problem? They have one big problem. What's their problem? They don't have many problems. They have one problem. What's their problem? Wow, only 2 answers on this, both right. Okay, Andre's got it. 3 answers right. Come on, guys. This is the whole crux of the system. No, Larry. So Larry, you're fairly new at the system. We're going to come back to you. Well, Steve, hey, you better come up with a better answer, Steve, because you know better than this. Come on. Raymond's got it. Cheryl's got it. Okay, so it looks like about 2/3 of you have this right. You're frightening me. The ones, the ones that are, the ones that are not getting it right are. And Steve, you're actually giving me. Steve, I think what you're giving me is the logistical on how you do this. Absolutely, you're 100% right on that. What I'm looking for though is what is their biggest problem? What is the client's biggest problem? 2/3 of you got it right. It's their advisor. Their advisor. It's not the fact that they're not weighted correctly. It's not the fact that they're paying too much in fees. It's not the fact that they're paying too much in taxes. Not those 21 things. So Jeff, are any of those 21 things their problems, and why aren't they?
No, none of those 21 things are their problem. The reason is they're easy to fix. Anybody can fix them. So I can fix them, you can fix them, the guy down the street from me can fix them, the guy then down the street from you can fix them, the guy that they have can fix them. If they don't have a guy, most of them are so easy they can fix them themselves. The problem is just that they didn't know that they needed to be fixed. So if all you do is say, hey, you need to fix these things, guess what they'll do?
And you talk about it at the training often, you talk about the fact that why don't they view these as problems, or at least not as immediate problems?
Because they're in a good spot. You know, if these were really horrible, earth-shattering problems that had to be dealt with right now, why would I have made all this money? Why would I be able to be retired? Why would I still have this pension? I mean, I get it. They're problems, but they're not big deals. I could wait a while. I've been waiting all my life, and it's turned out just fine. Waiting a little longer isn't going to hurt anything.
So you guys are, thanks, Jeff. So you guys are lucky. You guys are lucky that when it comes to the to selling, most other salespeople, realtors, nut and bolt salespeople, tractor people, I mean, they all have to figure out what's the pain, what's the hook, why are they in here? Stop and ask questions. We don't need to do that because we have the most powerful, we have the whitest of white hot buttons there ever existed, which is they find out, we help them discover that their advisor is disrespecting them. Their advisor is taking advantage of them. And when they learn that, guys, is there any hotter white button than when you find out somebody's been disrespecting you, screwing you? And that is, we don't need to ask questions. We ask questions. We ask questions because we don't ask questions to find out what the problem is. Why do we ask questions? The inverse of that. We don't ask questions to find out what the problem is. Why do we ask questions? So they can discover what the problem is. We already know what the problem is. They have to find it. So we actually use questions the exact opposite of virtually every other top salesperson out there because we're lucky. We have the whitest of white hot buttons. Make sense? Second thing is to know what you don't know. I mean, Einstein was asked what genius was, and guess what he said genius was? To know what you don't know. So we always have to have this curiosity of looking for new and better ways to do things. One of the big problems that we have when guys come on the system is we don't take you unless you're somewhat successful. And we have a lot of guys that aren't only not somewhat successful, they're very successful when they come on the system. And when I tell them quit doing what you're doing, they get a little upset. Remember when you were at the training, I said, the very thing, first thing I talked to you guys about is, do you want things sugar-coated? Do you like things straight? You always say straight. And the reason I bring that up is because I'm going to tell you that what you're doing, that what you're doing doesn't work. You should do it my way. And that's upsetting. And I'm wrong when I say that. I'm absolutely wrong when I say that. When I say what you're doing doesn't work, you should do it my way. What you're doing does work. It just works how? Not nearly as well as, you know what, riding a horse works to get from one place to another. You know what, driving a Model T works great for getting from one place to another. It's just that as time has come on, what's happened? There's become more and more efficient ways to do things. And we talk about the Fosbury flop. Going over the high jump bar backwards was radical, and it had been available for over 100 years. Well, 100 years, it's been available since men have been jumping over bars. But it took until the 1960s till Fosbury figured out to go backwards. So you have to kind of surrender and say, you know, maybe I don't know as much as I know. And guess what I do? Guess what I do every single, well, not every single day, but every single week. And I know Jeff does this too. We research. We read books. We read papers. We read online. We read what the experts say. We read blogs. We're constantly looking. Now, should you guys be doing that? Should you guys be reading? That's a trick question. Dave, you are the star, man. So I got a lot of guys saying yes, but here's what I'd say. And oh, very good, Raymond, impressing me. So I love the fact if you would read, but guess when I want you to read? After you've done what? After you've mastered the 21-point script, then guess what? Read to your heart's content. I think it's an awesome thing. But reading theory, when Jeff and I have actually encapsulated all the theory into here's how you do it exactly, just do it that way. And then if you want to delve into the theory afterwards, feel free. But just learn the 21 script first and then go after reading. But the point I want you to make from this slide is things I don't know. You have to admit there are things that you don't know. And believe me, there's lots of things I don't know, and that's the way I wake up every morning. I'm always looking for somebody who knows something more than me, and then I'm going to actually figure out how I can use that. Second thing is, or the third thing they're talking about is always keep your pipeline full. What does keeping your pipeline full allow? It allows less stress. Always doing the 21, yeah, I agree with that. But it allows less stress because you've always got new people in. And if you don't close somebody this week, do you care that they had to reschedule for 3 weeks from now? No, because you'll close them 3 weeks from now, but you have 2 more that you're closing now. You've always got these things closing. You know, when I was running 30 appointments a week, the year I made $1 million, I was running 30 appointments a week. I never cared whether somebody closed or not. I mean, here's the sad thing about life. The less you worry about them closing, guess what? The less you worry about them closing, guess what? The easier they close. It's crazy. And they sense that you do not have a need to close them. They sense that you don't need them as a client. When they sense that, see, life is unfair. The less you need something, the more life throws you of that thing. So again, in the next about 3 weeks, we're going to have a process to keep your pipeline full. It's going to be a process for people who are just beginning, and here's how you get in front of people when you're just beginning. And it's including the 21 lights, but then what you'll do after the 21 lights. So the 21 lights are going to stay, but after you do the 21 lights, if you're still learning the 21-point checklist, we want you to start getting in front of more people instantaneously. So we're going to have that threshold, and then after you get you have a working knowledge of the 21 point checklist scripts, then we'll add on. We won't stop doing the other thing because it's a background type of marketing. Then we're going to add on another one, and then once you become an expert at the 21-point checklist, what do we want you to market? How do we want you to market when you become an expert at the 21-point checklist? Eye to eye. So we'll have a funnel that'll keep your calendars full, because we're going to start with the background marketing. Then we're going to, when you have a working knowledge of the 20-point checklist, we're not going to stop the background marketing. We're going to ramp up and add another thing. And once you get expert at the 20-point checklist, we're not going to stop that. We're going to add the eye to eye. So you actually have 3 things running all the time, which is when you're an expert at the 21-point checklist, what do you want to be doing? What do you want? Presenting the 21. At that point, you've got an ATM. When you get in somebody, you got a 90% chance of them moving all their money to you. How much marketing do you want to be doing? Now, I'm going to be just give you a reminder here. Will any of these 3 marketing put you in front of pre-sold clients? Is there any such thing as a pre-sold client? If there were pre-sold clients, who would be out of business? And I just talked to 2 advisors yesterday who forgot this already. Yes, very good guys, we'd be out of business. Why? Because if the insurance companies could, and mutual fund companies and variable annuity companies and the money managers, if they could figure out a way to market that pre-sold people, what's their biggest expense? We are. They'd get rid of us in a second. So all marketing, just mine or all marketing, puts you in front of crappy prospects, tire kickers and plate lickers. All marketing does. Why are we fine with getting in front of tire kickers and plate lickers? Why are we fine with getting in front of yes, we turn poop into gold-plated poop. We turn lead into gold. You know what? I'd love, please put me in front of 10 tire kickers. Why do I have no problem with being put in front of 10 tire kickers? Because when those 10 tire kickers find out that the person that they're working with or the entity they're working with is disrespecting them, what do tire kickers become? Buyers. Clients. Make sense? I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful, and way too determined to be defeated. Guys, you gotta fake it till you make it. You gotta be optimistic. If you think that the world is going to end, it's going to end. If you think you're going to have problems today, you're going to have problems today. Here's an example of that. I don't know why life works this way, but I was at when I first started working in this business, I was at IDS, or Ameriprise, they call themselves now, but it was IDS back then, and we had a class of 30 guys, and they took us to this fancy restaurant, and probably the best looking guy, or at least one of the best looking guys there, was sitting next to me. He goes, watch this. Every single time I go to a restaurant, the waiters go right over me. They skip right over me. Watch this. And he was talking to me and the 2 guys, a guy across the table and a guy next to him. Watch, the waiter will miss me. And it's not like he was like a wallflower or not. He's a pretty attractive guy. So there was no reason for this to happen, but he thought the waiter was going to miss him, and guess what? We were at a fancy restaurant, and all 3 of us fell on the floor rolling in laughter. I mean, we were on the floor laughing because the waiter missed this guy. And it's just a lesson that if you get what you want, if you think people are going to be ornery, they're going to be ornery. If you think it's going to be a bad day, it's going to be a bad day. What if they found out about that? Even if you're not happy, putting a smile on your face, what if they found out about that? And there's tons of research on this. It's not just this crappy pseudo new age pop psychology. they have actually done MRI brain scans, had people hooked up. When you put a smile on your face, guess what? It makes you happier. Your emotions follow your physicality. They've also found, especially for like women who want to be more powerful, guess what they have them do? They have there's certain stances that make people feel more powerful. And again, MRIs hook people up to all sorts of machines, and they found that when you stand more powerfully, you feel more powerful. So your physicality, your mentality follows your physicality. So put on a smile. Smile, smile, smile. You should have a big happy face in front of your desk, so you're looking at that all the time. Be optimistic. Big one here. Learn to walk in the client's shoes. Learn to walk in the client's shoes. The analogy I give is this: is that is there anybody on the call that was on the debate team? Anybody on the debate team in high school or college? Mark, super Mark. Mark, when you were in debate team, did you just have to learn one side of the argument? So when you're in the debate team, did you have to learn? You had to learn both, right, Mark? You had to learn both. And why do you think that they always wanted debate team to learn both? Because are you ever going to be a very good at arguing your point of view if you don't understand the other person's point of view? Yeah, and that's right, Mark. You have to learn to argue against your beliefs. Why do they want you to be able to argue against your beliefs? Can you really thoroughly understand or overcome objections or change somebody's belief patterns if you don't understand why they think the way they think? You can't. And so when we get an objection, what's the skill we use? When we get an objection, what is the skill we use? GOTS, yeah. We get on their side. We put ourselves into the client's shoes. We start to explain to them why that objection is right. How about when somebody answers a question wrong, what do we do? When somebody answers a question wrong, what do we do? What's the formula for that? We got them. We explain why the answer they gave us was right. Is anybody confused about that? If they tell us the wrong answer, the first thing we do is explain why they're right. Is anybody confused on that? Good. I was going to give you an example, but we can. Perfect. And then don't oversell. Do not oversell. A great example of this is when you're doing 21 lights. When you're doing 21 lights and I tell you to go to your clients and offer to do a 21 light with them, do I tell you you should call up and say, boy, I can't wait to get together with you. I've got this great process that's brand new. You're going to really love it. It's going to dot all the I's, cross all the T's. You know, it's really this super process that I have now. Is that how we approach our clients for 21 lights? What would we sound like? You're right. Now everybody's saying no. You're right. Why? What would we sound like if that's how we approach them? So, do we ever make an offer? Do we ever tell somebody how great what we do is? Never. At the 21-point checklist, do I ever tell them anything that I do? No. It's always about them and their current relationship. When we get into the implementation meeting with the FIA presentation or the sale presentation, do I ever tell them how great something is, how great it works? Well, and it's kind of a trick question. Do I ever tell them anything? We do not tell, we do not sell, we do not preach, we do not teach. All we do is what? Ask questions. If they want to oversell themselves, is that okay? Even that's not okay. I want them to understand, is there any perfect anything out there? No. So they have to understand both the positives and the negatives. And when do I spend more time on the positives or more time on the negatives in my presentations, in my product presentations? Negatives. Do I ever try to tell them something that's great? No. All I do is talk about the negatives. Say, listen, this is not going to give you the highest rate of return. Here's why it's not liquid. Here's why now might not be the best time to do it. Here's all the fees. You know, when you make a lot of money, you're going to pay really high fees. So all I do is go through all the negatives. I just talk them what? I say, now here's how all the negatives of this product. Let's compare those negatives to the negatives of your current product, and what do they find out? Oh, that's not nearly as negative as what I currently have. Do you guys get that? That you've all done the FIA presentation, or most of you have done the FIA presentation. So do you get that that's what we do? Are we ever trying to tell them how great an FIA is? I need everybody to answer that, because if you think that that's what we're doing, you got to go back and relearn it, because we don't. Our whole process, all we do is go through all of the negatives. Do I ever try to tell them that there's no fees with the FIAs? Or do I hit it straight on and tell them, listen, if you make a lot of money, you're going to pay a lot of fees? Is that how we present it? Do I try to skim over and say, oh, the great thing about this is never any fees, and you know the insurance company's picking up on that? Do I ever say something like that? Because is that true, or is that a big fat lie? People, and really, baby boomers are way too sophisticated for you to try to pull the old, yeah, the great thing about this is there's no fees because we're going to, you know, the insurance companies pick up on that. How many baby boomers are going to believe that? So you just tell them straight out what it is, and then just compare it with what they currently have. Do not oversell. Define expectations from the start. Here's a great example of that. When we talk about the equity portion, now we don't get paid, at least I don't get paid, ECA doesn't get paid on the equity portion, but you're going to put money into equities. And what's the three things I tell you to promise people when it comes to equities? What are the three things we promise people when it comes to equities? There, very good, Dave. So when the market goes up, your accounts are going to go up. When the market goes down, your accounts are going to go down. And historically, more often than not, the accounts have gone up. Should I ever promise them that I've got an algorithm or a manager who can get them out before the market goes down? That's a big fat what? Everybody answer that. That's a big fat what? If anybody could figure that out, if you could tell people when to get out before the market got out, would you ever tell anybody that? I wouldn't. Why wouldn't I? I would leverage everything that I'd be on the beach, right, Chris? I'd leverage everything I had and bet on it every single time. So, and how about when money managers say, well, here's the thing. We're going to provide some downside protection. We're never going to get you all the upside, but we're going to protect you on the downside. Is that a good thing to tell people? No, for a couple of reasons. One is, would you bet your house on it? Because if you won't bet your house on a promise, guess what I do? Guess what I would do? I would bet my house on a promise that if the market goes up, your account's going to go up. If the market goes down, your account's going to go down. And the market historically has gone up more often than down. Would I bet my house on that? Absolutely, I'd bet my house on that. So nothing should come out of your mouth unless you're willing to bet your house on it. And would you bet your house on your money manager's promise that, hey, when the market goes down, you're not going to go down as much, but when the market goes up, you're going to maybe not get all of it? A lot of the answers have disappeared here. Guess what that makes me wonder? I think I'm hitting home with some of you, because the answers became a lot less fluid at this point. Guys, don't make those kind of promises. If there's really a manager that figured that out, if you had a manager that figured that out, what would his minimum account size be? Yeah, exactly. 100 million, billion. That's what his minimum account. Would he be working with your $1 million client? Because to a manager that had it figured out like that, what would a $1 million client look like? It'd be like you looking at a $10,000 client. Would you take on a $10,000 client? If they really had that figure, I guarantee you, there are people who are very, very smart. But and I'll finish that here. They're very smart, and they have minimum account size of $50 million. That's the minimum account size, $50 million. Now, unfortunately for those guys, guess what? What is every smart guy? What's happened to every single smart guy? They've gotten crushed. All the hedge funds that were around in 2002, I mean all of them, all the top 10 hedge funds around in 2002, how many of them exist today? Top 10, how many exist today? Yeah, Dave's got it. None. They got out of the business. They got out of the business. So even if they think they got it, they get crushed. What happened to long-term capital management run by 2 Nobel Prize-winning economists, back-tested for 100 years? What happened to them? Gone. So even if they say that it's good, so define expectations from the start. If you define expectations from the start, how easy is it to deal with your clients if they understand the expectation from the start? Think about this. How about another one? At the beginning of the implementation meeting, do we tell them that it's going to be about solutions at this meeting? At the very beginning, no, what do we say? At the beginning of the 20-point checklist, what do we say? This meeting is to find out what you do like and what you don't like. Until I know what you like, should I prepare any solutions for you? See, I use the phrase, I never assume to presume. I never assume to presume, meaning I don't presume they're going to not like I'm not going to presume that they don't like paying fees. I'm not going to presume that they care about their bonds getting crushed when interest rates go up. I'm not going to presume any of those things. I'm not going to make any solutions until they tell me they don't like something. Once they tell me something don't like it, or something they don't like, then I will go and come up with a solution. So defining that solution or present up front, guess what that tells them about you? That you're there to sell them something that day, or they're there just to give them good information, and you're there to pressure them, back them into a corner, or you're just there to help them figure out what they have now. So defining expectations from the start is a very good thing to be doing. Sell the problem you solve, not the product. So, guys, the clients that we work with, they're all driving the cars they want, going out to eat when they want, going on vacation when they want. If we sell products, what are we going to get? You're going to get 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. Problem is, we're a commodity. We are a commodity, which means that any product we sell, is there any products out there that we have that other people can't sell? No. So sell the problem you solve, not the product. What's the problem we solve? What's the problem we solve? It's kind of a tricky question. You're right, Raymond, the bad advisor. Because if we're showing them all the tricks that other advisors play, what can we not do? Hey, maybe we can trick them another way, but those 21 things we show them, if we've shown them those 21 things, at least they know about us what? Maybe there's some other way we can trick them, but we certainly can't trick them with those 21 things. Does that make sense? So when they find out they can't trust their guy, they just come right to us. So is the problem the fact that they're overweighted in stocks? Is the problem that they're paying too much in fee? Is the problem that they don't have a quality of life directive? Is the problem that they have? No, none of those things are the problem. The problem is what? They're wrong advisor. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So the point here, and I totally agree with them, is that what? We can't, just because you show somebody that something's great, guess what? I've shown, when I was making 50 grand a year, I showed people that something was great all the time, and they would resist. People's natural inclination. What's a horse's natural inclination, even if they're thirsty, when you push their head to water? What's their natural inclination? To resist. Do people like to be pushed? How about baby boomers in particular? Do they like to be pushed at all? See, with the greatest generation, you were able to push them. They had respected authority. If you thought it was a good idea, they thought it was a good idea. With baby boomers, man, if you try to tell them it's a great idea, guess what? No, it's not. Something better. Well, I haven't seen everything. How do I know that's the best thing? Check everything. They tend to push back. That's why we cannot tell, sell, preach, teach. They have to decide for themselves. And again, guys, remember, these tips are coming from who? Me or 500 of the most influential people in this selling industry? But what do we do every day? So far, how many of these ideas do we use with 5Q every single day? All of them. It's wise to persuade people to do things and make them think it was their own idea. Do we do that, guys? Is that the whole system right there? Yes, that is in a nutshell, that is our system. This is a simple one. Be punctual. Be punctual. Guys, I run 30 to 40 appointments a week. How often am I more than 5 minutes late to one of your meetings? Missy, you've known me for 20 years. How often am I late for a meeting?
Not very often. Less than a handful.
And that's 20 years, guys. Be punctual. Be punctual, be punctual, be punctual. When you're late, it gives people a feeling, a bad feeling about you. You don't want to start that way. Be confident. There's only one guy in the 18 years we've been teaching, there's one guy that learned the 21-point checklist backwards and forward. He was awesome at it. He could have taught it. He's the only guy that's known the 21-point checklist that did not make, $750,000 or more in a year. In fact, he had to get out of the business. Guess why? He wasn't confident in front of real people when he came to get their money. He did the 21-point checklist terrific, but when it came to actual getting people's money, he could not do it. He started to sweat. And the reason being is he wasn't in the selling industry. He actually sold a power company and then wanted to get into this business because he loved investing for himself. But when he did love for investing for himself, but when he couldn't handle other people taking other people's money, it was just too much stress strain. So he actually got out of the business and he actually went back into the power industry. He's actually sold a company since then. So he's rich as can be, but even though he's that smart that he can buy a company, sell a company, a power company, brilliant guy, he just didn't have the confidence when it comes to this. He had great confidence when it comes to power companies, but not very good confidence when it comes to this. You need to be confident. What then lends to confidence? What makes you confident in something? Knowledge, yes. Knowing it. If you know it, not till you can do it right, but until you can't get it wrong. So that 21-point checklist, you should know that if I came over to your house, gave you a 6-pack of beer, should you still be able to do the 21-point checklist after drinking 6-pack? Yes. Okay? Be confident. There's lots of ways that you can be confident. But you gotta, the best way is going to be know the material. Building rapport. Now, do we build rapport in the classic sense of how you build rapport? Which is to, oh, you went to the University of Minnesota, I did too, or your kid is in baseball, my kid's in baseball too. Is that how we build rapport? If we build rapport that way, we've just identified ourselves to a baby boomer as what? We've just identified as a salesman, exactly. How do we build rapport then? We build extreme, that's right, sucking up, Bonnie. So we build unbelievable rapport. How do we build rapport? How do we have it so little old ladies, after 3-hour 21-point checklist meetings, still love you and want to, getting on their side, going ape on them, agreeing, parroting, and empowering them. That's how we build rapport. See, the old style rapport is, hey, I'm like you, I'm like you, I'm like you, I'm like you. Guess what's in that particular I'm like you? That's 50% right. What's the 50% that's wrong in that? I'm like you rapport. Yeah, that's right, Jerry. You should not be in there. When we got them, are we in there at all? Agreeing, parroting, or empowering, do we mention ourselves? No, it's all about who? Them. If you want to build true rapport, talk about them, exclude you and yourself from that conversation. Make sense? The greatest score in living lies not in never failing, but rising every time we fall. Guys, and Jeff, can you hop in here? How many guys have you talked to that were afraid to mentor with us, or afraid to tape, or afraid to actually try the 21-point checklist, or afraid to try the sale presentation, or was a little bit afraid to try the FIA presentation?
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. And so I think what they use as the excuse is, well, I just want to wait until I'm perfect at it, and then I'll jump in and do it. Then I'll tape. Then I'll present. And nobody's perfect at it. You can't be afraid to use this every day.
So what do I mean, Jeff, when I say that I built this system on failure?
Well, what you did is you taped a meeting, you found out what didn't work, tried it, and that might not work. But then you started to, by process of elimination, you started to get closer to the thing that would work by finding the things that don't.
You mean I didn't just sit down and design this thing one night? It came to me in a dream?
No, it was over time. You're failing and realizing, hey, that's what I need to improve on. And pretty soon you improve on one thing and then another and another and another until you start improving so many things that there's not very many things left to improve anymore.
And Jeff came up with a fantastic analogy a few years back, and that was the movie Groundhog's Day. That first day that he, day that he woke up and it was the same day, he was still making all the same mistakes. And in fact, he did that same mistake, same mistake, same mistake. So he finally figured out, you know what? If I'm going to be stuck in this loop, I might as well what? And guys, I was in that loop. For 8 years, I was in the loop of making the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over. And finally, I said, you know, I need to try something different. And when I started to get a little bit better every day, guess what? But the only way I could get better is not guessing. I had to try something and figure out that it did not work. I had to fail. Every great, you know, if you think about science, the greatest discoveries were through failure. Athletes, the greatest athletes have failed how many times? We all know the Michael Jordan story. We all know, I mean, failure is part of becoming great. Don't be afraid to fail. I love this. It's not a very good graphic here, but this is from Microsoft for their salespeople. First contact, 50% of salespeople give up. Second contact, 65% of salespeople have given up. Third contact, 79% of salespeople have given up. A fourth contact, 89% of people have given up. They figure that you know, at that point you've already harvested the low-hanging fruit. Fifth contact, you're just now becoming a factor in your prospect's mind. Sixth, nurturing slowly, your prospect gets to meet you. You're now earning top of mind awareness at contact number 7. Contact number 8, you're probably the only person ever to make 8 contacts with this person. Guys, think about this. That's why we want you to be doing epidemic marketing. Contacting them not just about money, but about being a good guy. Drip, 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 right. So, think about this. The number one reason by over 3 times that people leave their current advisor is lack of contact. After you've sent out 8 contacts, how often has their guy contacted them during that year, do you think? In 8 months, you've contacted them 8 times. How many times has their guy contacted them? And if you did contact them, what's the only thing you contacted them about? Money. Money, 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 money. Contact number 9. At this point, when your prospect is ready to buy, you have a 90% chance of them buying from you. So we've all heard this, but how many of us obey it? That people, what percentage of people buy in the first contact? The average, you know, and the research is all over the line. I've seen 6, 7, all the way up to 9. It takes 6 contacts all the way up to 9 contacts before the average person buys. So, are you compounding your marketing? Are you touching the people that you know constantly in nice, friendly manners? Contact, contact, contact. Okay. Overcoming the no. Does anybody overcome objections like we overcome objections? But here's the great thing. I mean, there's not an objection I can't overcome, and I can teach you that skill. Is that an easy skill or a difficult skill, though? That's a difficult skill. So how have we fixed that for you? Trick question. How have we fixed that for you? If you memorize the scripts, guess what you're not going to come up with? So Jeff, how many times have you listened in the last 18 years where somebody was following the scripts that they ended up getting an objection? Often or very rare?
Very rare.
Guys, the reason that you don't come up with objections is the scripts, you know, like we just said about Groundhog's Day and me failing. I created the script so I wouldn't get any more objections. Yes, I anticipate the objection. So knowing the objection is coming up, I put it into the script so it could not come up. A lot of guys, when they're looking at the script, saying, geez, these scripts are so long, and why does Mike make the client say this 5, 6, 7 times? It's because I don't want an objection 3 minutes down the line. So if you learn the scripts, you don't have to get good at objections. At least then you'll have time to learn the objections when you get them on those rare occasions. Make sense? Focus, focus, focus. Like I said, I don't want you reading right now. I want you learning those 21-point checklists. After you learn those 21-point checklists, then you can read. Focus. How often do I want you reading emails in a day? 3 times. Morning, noon, and before you go to, leave work. Focus on what you're doing. Be in the moment. When you're in a meeting, what should you be focused on? Making the sale or what you're supposed to be doing right there? Not even the meeting. I'm not even focused on the meeting. I'm even focusing on that one thing that I'm doing in the meeting at that one time. If I'm getting on their side over because of an objection, am I worried about how I'm going to overcome that objection, or am I worried about getting into their shoes and telling them why they're right? See, if I'm looking forward, and in the analogy we use, if I'm a quarterback, it's 2-minute drill, I'm behind, it's the playoffs. If I lose, we're out of the playoffs, and I'm thinking, I got to score, I got to score, I got to score, I got to score. If that's what I'm thinking when I'm sitting there behind the center, what's going to happen to me? I'm going to fumble, right, Cheryl? I'm going to fumble. I need to be thinking what? Take a clean snap. That's what I need to be thinking. Then I got to be thinking, find an open receiver. Then I should be focused on the one thing. It's kind of the Zen of presentation. Make sense? Should we always be closing? No, we never close. Guys, what I learned about myself is I can't close a door. So all I do is I'm there to help them, and that's the mentality I always had. Missy, did I ever, when the year I made $1 million, was I ever concerned about getting paid or where I'm going to put the client's monies or any of those things?
Nope, it was on to the next appointment. What can I do for this person?
That's all. When I quit worrying about, and it drives me crazy when somebody says, Mike, I had this first meeting, and here's the people. They've got this money here, and this money there, and this money there, and this money there. I'm like, dude, you're what? You're way ahead of where you should be right now. What's the second meeting about? Should I really give a crap where I'm going to put their money? What's the only thing I'm doing when I run into a client and gather the data? I gather the data, and then what am I going to do at the second meeting? Have them understand what it is that they have and what they like about what they currently have and what they don't like about what they currently have. Namely, they don't like their current advisor or the entity, if they're do-it-yourself, or the entity they're working with. Should I be worried about making where I'm going to put their money until they've done that? Should I have any focus whatsoever on anything about where their money is going to go until they understand they don't like their current entity or advisor? No. And am I doing that to hurt? Am I doing that to close people? Am I having them understand that their guy's taking advantage of them, or TD, Ameritrade, or Fidelity's taking advantage of them to close? Why am I doing that? Do you think they like to know whether they're being taken advantage of or not? If today you're a little bit better than you were yesterday, and we talked about this a little bit, how much better do you need to be at the system? And when people come on, they get frustrated because they're not learning fast enough. It seems so hard. It seems like it's too much. Guys, it's a little bit just like Groundhog's Day. How many days did it take Bill Murray to get things figured out? 2% better a week will make you 3 times better by the end of the year. And how many advisors, other than you guys, how many advisors out there are getting 2% better a week? Heck, how many are getting, some of these guys have been in the business for 20 years, are they getting 2% better in a year? Think about that. I've got guys with, there's guys out there with 30 years in the business. How many years experience do they have? 30 years in the business. How many years experience do they have? Nope, Raymond. Maybe, Larry. I'd agree with you, Wayne and Dave. They have 1 year of experience, and Larry said 3 years. I guess I could say 3 years experience. They don't have 30 years experience. Why don't they have 30 years experience? They've been in the business 30 years, but do they have 30 years experience? No. The same thing over and over and over. Doing the same thing over and over and over. They haven't gotten better in 20 years. So you don't need to be better overnight. Get better every single day. If you try to run, if you haven't run for 10 years, should you try to run or should you walk and run? If you're trying to lose weight, should you go on a crash diet? If you're trying, anything in life, Should you go, if you're trying to get stronger, should you go crazy in the weights? If you do any of those things, you're going to get hurt. You're going to give up. You should get incremental, right? Get a little bit better. Post-sale, make sure the client is happy. Do we have a post-sale process, guys? Yes, we tell you exactly what to do. And our post-process, first of all, eliminates the buyer's remorse. It also is a great way to start nurturing relationships with their current accountant and maybe their attorney. I wouldn't bother with the attorney, but absolutely their accountant. So we have a process. Are you all using that post-sale process when you make a sale? And how quickly, let's see you get the answer to this. How quickly do those letters go out? How quickly do those post letters go out? Next day? Yeah, same day, Raymond, exactly, same day. Be persistent. That goes back to touching those people over and over and over. But also be patient. When we're being persistent with the epidemic marketing, are we being salesy or are we being persistent and patient? Are we hammering them about buying from us with the epidemic marketing? Or are we simply helping them out? Be pleasant. Have them understand why they need to do things now. What is the motive about in the 21-point checklist? What is the motive about? Why they need to do things now? Is there a part of the script in the FIA presentation where they explain to you why they need to do it now? Is there a part in the FIA? Yes. We have them explain it 3 or 4 times why they need to do it now. Creative man is motivated by the desire to achieve, but not by the desire to beat others. Should our goal be to crush our clients? Oops. Should our goal be to crush our clients? Should we be trying to beat our clients? Are we there to help them? We're there to help them. It's not a competition. It's a doorway. We got to build trust. How do we build trust, guys? How do we build trust? Questions, right? We never, see, here's the thing. If I never tell them what to do, if I never tell them how they should think, if I never tell them tell, sell, preach, or teach, is there everything that they can distrust me about? If I tell them something, can they distrust me? What I say? If I tell them something, can they distrust what I say? Heck yeah. If I sell them something, can they distrust me? Yes. If I preach at them, can they distrust me? Yeah. If I try to teach them, can they think what I'm teaching them is wrong? Yes. If I don't tell, sell, preach, teach, guess what they can't do? And here's the thing. Who's the only person that they trust 100% of the time, 24/7? Themselves. So why do I never say anything and then let them do all the explaining? Because I don't need to worry about trust then. They trust themselves. Be prepared. Nothing drives me crazier than when I'm talking. You never do this with me because I think you know it drives me crazy. But when I talk to Jerry or I talk to Jeff, and you're working with them working with an advisor on a case, and they're asking you, and you're basically preparing the case the day of or the day before. When do you think I prepared all my cases? The year I made $1 million, when do you think I prepared all my cases? Yeah, way ahead. I did all my cases on Saturday mornings. For all the upcoming week, all my cases were done by Saturday mornings. Guess what that made me very good at doing the previous week? If I had some spare time, I was in there prepping the case for the next week. I never would be preparing a case the day before or the day of. And when I'm talking about prepared, am I talking about all the documentation or also rehearsing the scripts that I need to be good at? If I hadn't done a REIT script for a while, making sure I go back and review that REIT script. I mean, all those things. Be prepared, not the day of, not the day before. What does it say about a guy if he's just doing the case the day of or the day before? Doesn't care. I'd agree with that. How professional is that? Yeah, it's not very professional. And guys, we're dealing with people's entire livelihoods, 30 years, 40 years of savings. Should we be professional when it comes to them? I'm going to have to whip through the rest of these apparently because I'm running out of time. So 3 main rules in relationships: don't lie, don't cheat, don't make promises you can't keep. When it comes to the stock market goes up, you're going to go up. Market goes down, you're going to go down. And historically, market's gone up more often. Am I keeping the promises and not lying, not cheating, and making promises I can't keep when I do that? Be nice to people. Put that smile on your face, even with those you won't do business with. Do we help people that have no money when they come in to see us? Yes, we do the 21 light with them, and then we send them on their way. Don't forget, don't forget comfortable. I'm sorry, I forgot that one. Sorry about that, guys. Branding. And we're going to talk more about this through the next 3 or 4 months. I don't think we're a good fit. If they're not a good fit, you should what? Send them on their way. Don't tell, sell, preach, teach. And when you've mastered these things, guess what? You've now created a what? ATM. Make sense, guys? Was this helpful, guys, to at least kind of give you a viewpoint of what other top salespeople are saying, and the fact that everything that we're about with 5Q incorporates what they're saying we should be good at? Okay? Super. Well, you guys, it's Thanksgiving, so I will tell you that myself and all of us here at 5Q and ECA, we really appreciate the hard work. Like I said, we've never in 18 years had more guys know the 21, not know, but be reasonably good at the 21-point checklist as we do this year. So thank you for all your hard work. It will pay off going forward. And have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe, have fun, enjoy your family, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.